Welcome to this episode of the Good Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Charles Good. Every week I sit down with the thinkers and the doers shaping the future of leadership and learning. And today's episode is the second part of my conversation with two legends in the field, Dr. David Ulrich and Dr. Beverly Kaye. Dr. David Ulrich has been called the father of modern HR. He has spent decades helping organizations around the world transform their people strategy into a competitive advantage. Dr. Beverly Kaye is one of the most beloved voices in the field of career development and employee engagement. Her work continues to guide leaders who want to retain top talent and inspire growth at every level. Today, in the second part of my conversation with them, we zoom in on the personal side of growth. Bev shares the single question that every manager should ask to unlock hidden talent within their employees. What skills of yours am I not currently using? While Dave reframes HR as a value engine, measured not by programs, but by customers, investors, and communities. We'll explore why artificial intelligence must be multiplied by human ingenuity if you want true competitive advantage, not just parity. So if part one of my conversation set the stage, well then this part two, is the playbook. So grab your notebook and let's tune in to the second part of my conversation with Dr. Beverly Kaye and Dr. David Ulrich. I hope you enjoy. Welcome to the Good Leadership Podcast, where we explore the stories, strategies, and insights of thought leaders who inspire us to think differently and lead better. Through candid conversations and expert perspectives, we dive into the challenges, breakthroughs, and practical lessons that shape exceptional leadership.
I was in New York City at a big bank talking to executives about career development, and one said, "Beverly, let me be honest. Our people are so busy. They're not going to ask a variety of questions. If you give me one question that everybody could ask that you think would be the best, what would it be?" And what came to mind was ask the question, what of your skills am I not using? What of your skills do you have that I have no idea that you have? That one question. That's it. And I made them go around the table and answer that. Executives. One person said, "I speak fluent Hebrew," or "I speak French," or "I do this or that." But it gets the conversation to another place. What
It does.
skills of yours am I not using?
Love that. That's so helpful. So anyway, Charles, I love the career discussion. I bet you've had a personalized career. I have to ask, have you ever taken kind of a time out and just gone horizontal instead of vertical? Teach us if you're willing to share.
I've been in different careers, finance, healthcare, publishing, and in the publishing industry, taking a lateral move for the first 3 or 4 years and doing different job roles within the publishing company really helped me learn the business a whole lot better than taking a more senior level role. And it really earned the respect of the people there as well. Instead of just thinking that I'm just someone that just wants to continually move up, I was genuinely interested in learning how the business ran, learning the industry better, and the impact each role had in developing this product. So that to me was instrumental in terms of my growth and development and really building a stronger team as a result.
I love that story because it kind of puts career is not a 100-yard dash, it's a marathon. And personalizing. And I think you personalize that. I took time out when my wife was doing her PhD. I stayed home with kids, and that wasn't easy. But it's one of those value choices. And I think when we get that in our mind, and then the question Bev asked was so good, what skills are we not using? I love those kind of probing, personalized. Again, I'm calling that in a thing I'm posting on LinkedIn. You got to personalize your career. Don't assume that somebody else's path is yours. And by asking those reflection questions, those insight questions in Bev's term.
I've never heard that question by any manager, which is unfortunate. I wish I would have heard that because I'm sure I would have given some responses that would have helped them. But that could be part of those stay conversations that we shouldn't just ask when people are leaving, but throughout their time in the company to get to know them better and make sure we're leveraging their skills, their abilities, and helping us to realize their full potential.
My biggest mistake with stay interviews was not copywriting it. because then everybody started writing about them. But it really is the question, what makes you feel most valued working here or working for me? Because I want to make sure I keep delivering on that. And maybe it's, what are you, I don't want to say dying to learn. What are you anxious to learn? That maybe there's a way I can either put you into having to learn it or have you learn from someone else. But it's those questions that take a minute to ask and then maybe 5 to listen. And if you make a note or two, you'll figure out a way, I think, to connect that person to what they want to do. I need you. This company needs you. I need your skills. I need your abilities. I want you to stay. How can I do that?
And it's so simple to do. It's common sense. Not many managers do it. Stay curious longer. Ask those questions. Think outside the box. If they were
Right.
just to ask those questions, they will learn a whole lot more and they could leverage the talent of their team in such greater ways.
Right.
This is where I got to know Bev. I had read her work on stay interviews a number of years ago. I'm in a company. There's a CFO who's very talented and young, mid-30s, and medium-sized company, $2 billion, but very, very talented and at risk of leaving. So the senior executive said, what should I do? Have a stay interview. So the
Right.
senior executive went to this head of a finance, chief financial officer, and said, your questions, what's it going to take to keep you? What are your values? And she said, I'm going to have to think about that. Came back and said, I would like to move into operations, from finance to an operation job, and move up in the operation hierarchy. And the CEO said, I got to think about that. And the point I want to make is this is not a quick fix. Came back and said, you're making X and you're doing a great job. We'd love to have you, but you're going to get offers. You're talented. You're going to get invited. I can't move you into horizontally into an operation job that pays X. It's going to be X minus 20%. But the potential is X plus 100%. And she said, I have to think about that. Came back 2 days later and agreed. Took over a business, quadrupled the revenue in that business in 2 years. I think I like about that story is it takes Bev's ideas. This is a two-way dialogue that requires some pondering on both sides. Because he said, I'm not sure I trust you moving to that operating job because you've never done one. It's a big business and it's a risk for us. It's going to be X minus 20 or 25%. She goes, I'm not sure I want to take that risk. But suddenly you've got a conversation built on trust. And Bev, I need to thank you. I don't think I've ever shared that. That made me look good as an advisor.
The other question I remember a manager asking his senior team is, who do you think is loose in the saddle that we need to let know?
One of my colleagues did a dissertation and it was a brilliant, and I love dissertations that are so simple that I can understand them. 100 managers are in a room. The senior leader is giving a vision of the future. Whatever you want, it's inspiring, aspirational, and we're going to grow and we're going to change the world. Here's what she did. Everybody got a 3x5 card. Write down the names of 3 people in the room today who are not going to be able to help with that vision. They don't have the skills. They're not committed. She picks up 300 or 100 cards. She has 300 names. How much do they overlap? 90%. We know, by the way, if you put your own name down and they find that out, that'll be an easier decision. But, and her comment was, we generally know, it may have been 80%, but it was a huge percent. We know I love loose in the saddle. And it may be a skill set, it may be a drive, but they're not going to help make that happen. And then the question to the senior leader is, your instinct tells you you need to let somebody go. Now, if you've been around, move, making them feel better about themselves, but still making sure that you've made the move. I have found, and Charles, you've done enough sessions in Bev, when people say, if I had to do this transformation over again, I'd move quicker. That's very common. What would you move quicker on? Changing out people. I knew going in that the person, for whatever reason, didn't have the skills or the dedication to make this happen. I waited too long. I find that happens a lot. Now you got to do it with grace, with justice. Bev and I did an article on how do you help people elegant exits, I think was the post, Bev. It was such a privilege to work with you. How do you make that an elegant exit so the person feels better about themselves? But we've got to move to make that happen. Step it up, make the call. Sometimes those leaders go to HR and say, HR, would you help me? And the answer is, yeah, I'll help you by not doing it. Because if I step in and move somebody out that needs to be moved out, you're going to lose credibility. I'm going to coach you. I'm going to role play with you. I'm going to do everything I can, but you've got to step up to that.
What you get if you do an elegant exit, you might get a respectful return. Because
Great
there's
comment.
more boomeranging happening now than ever. And so you want to leave the welcome mat out, especially for the people who you are really sad to lose.
Are you finding that, Charles, from your IMS that there's people boomeranging?
There is more and more of that from our members that we've seen that they're coming back. So it's like Bev said, don't burn the bridge, leave the door open, make sure you have that elegant exit to make sure that if there's opportunities for them to return, as long as they didn't end their employment on bad terms, there might be other opportunities in the future that they can come back for and really build off of those alumni networks. Those that have moved on to other organizations, a lot of companies don't leverage those near enough.
Great idea.
Bring back those ideas to the company and find ways to support them and connect them in because they want to still be a part of it. And their newfound experience and expertise as they continue on with their careers could really help the company.
McKinsey has built a whole consulting business on their alumni. I mean, we hope you'll leave McKinsey and bring us in. By the way, Bev's words, elegant exit, that's just such a nice thing that we want to build that relationship. But if somebody needs to leave, now I'm going to go the other way. If somebody does need to leave and they're not willing to, you got to still move them. And in fact, somebody said to me once, what's the most strategic HR decision ever? And I said, with a joke and a tongue in cheek, place your lowest performing employee in your competitor and encourage them to continue to do exactly what they've done. In fact, you could pay them to stay there under the table. Now, that's a joke, but if someone just doesn't fit for whatever reason, leadership requires courage. And I think that comes with respect if we know how to do it well. I've coached leaders who've had to let people go, make sure they leave feeling good, all those things. And I said, I hope the night before you didn't sleep well. Because if you say, oh, I had a great sleep, I'm excited today to let someone go, then there's another bigger problem. This should be emotionally tough. This should be painful. And if you as a leader are not feeling the pain in the process of having to let somebody go, there's a deeper issue that probably needs to be addressed. So yeah, it's going to hurt, and that's okay.
Let's talk more about HR now, Dave, and just you champion the idea that HR needs to deliver value. How should HR measure its value to the business in today's landscape that's constantly changing?
I'm going to take and make this pretty simple, but not easy. Who's the human in HR? Who's the human in human resources? I think for decades, it's been the employee. We're here as the advocate, the protector of the employee. I think today we're seeing the term human expanded dramatically. Here's an insight. An employee is a human being. We want him or her to be productive, to be engaged, to be fulfilled. An executive is a human being on the executive team. We want them to deliver their goals. A customer is a human being. We want that customer as a human being to buy more product or service from us. We want to engage them. An investor, debt or equity or parent company is a human being. A community is filled with human beings. For me, the human and human resources are all the stakeholders who engage with the company. So when I, as an HR professional, go to do an initiative, could be training. By the way, I'm supposed to say this twice. Make sure you go to IMS. We got to say that twice. I've had the privilege of working with you almost since the firm was founded, and just an incredible network of committed people working well. So I want to increase leadership training. I want to do better talent review. I want to do better, name the program, communication. I think a mistake HR people make is they talk about their program, not about the value it creates. I'm not here to create a program. I'm here to get a customer to buy more product. I'm here to get an investor to give us a premium for a price for our lower debt capital. I'm here to get a reputation in the community. I'm here to deliver our strategy. And then to say, and this is the HR initiative. could be staffing, training, compensation, that I believe will help us as an executive team or you as a CEO reach your goals. That mindset shift is powerful. I just did a session. It was really fun. I often say when I get to teach, what's the biggest to HR people? What's the biggest challenge in your job today? Not naming a person. We don't want you to name a person. That would be tacky. I'm trying to get skills. I'm trying to change the culture. I'm trying to manage hybrid work. Oh, we forgot number one. I'm trying to implement AI. Guess what? That's not your job. What's your job? Your job is to help get customers to buy more product, investors to give you a premium, lower cost of capital, to get communities to have a higher respect, to deliver and realize your strategy. And if you start with that assumption, then you can say, because of. So my compensation, my training is designed to make those things happen. That's the mindset shift that I think is an HR inflection point. The human and human resources are the stakeholders, not the activities.
That's such a great insight there because it turns HR from a support function into a true competitive advantage when they identify the problems that they're solving for and the benefits to the stakeholders, to the customers, versus just having another training program, another HR initiative just for the sake of it. HR, though, also needs to be part of the strategy and innovation. In what ways can HR further leverage its competitive advantage to really show value to the business?
I'm going to push an assumption. We often start with business financials, revenue, cost, profitability, ROI, EBITDA. And then we say HR drives those financials. That's been our logic for decades. Here's an insight. Financials are a lag indicator. Financials for last quarter, last 6 months. Here's our revenue profit from last year. In theory, what HR has been doing for decades is I can use HR to predict what we accomplished last year financially. Well, that doesn't interest me. So I got to begin to say, where do those financials come from? And it's not complicated. My revenue comes from a customer buying a product. My profitability comes from an investor having a lower cost of capital. What I propose to HR is don't link HR to last year's financials. Link HR to stakeholders. I talk about the evolution of support HR, which needs to be done, functional HR, which are the programs, strategic HR linking to strategy, and stakeholder HR. So what I see in HR is saying, I'm going to go visit a customer with you. And the salesperson says, why are you doing that? Because that's my agenda, is to get a customer to buy more products. So I'll just play out a role play. I'm in HR. Bev's a customer. Charles is the salesperson. And Charles sells Bev a product or a service. And it's terrific. Bev looks at me and says, who are you? I'm from HR. I'm here to help. By the way, don't say that. That's tacky. I say, Bev, thank you. You're an incredible customer for us. And Charles, your salesperson, has just done a brilliant job selling your product. But here's what I know. In the space we operate on, you buy 40% from us and 60% from someone else. I've now heard what it takes to get you to buy. Your values, your buying criteria, your net promoter score. I'm going to go back and look at who we hire, how we train, how we pay, how we organize, how we get things done so that we meet those needs you've just expressed. And here's the payback. This year we have 40% of what you buy from us. Next year I want it to be 60. And the year after that, 70. I'm here to get more revenue from you because of what we do in HR. And the salesperson's looking at me going, who gets the commission? And I go, Charles, the salesperson gets the commission. I don't want to belittle that, but notice that metaphor. And I say, we sold you a product or a service. I'm going to build with you a long-term relationship. And our HR systems will institutionalize that relationship. I get so excited about that. That is a new HR agenda. It's not just saying, tell me the strategy, I'll go make it happen. It's saying, look through the strategy as if it's a window to the outside customer, the investor. I will do stakeholder HR that moves us forward. Okay, you got my pitch. I feel so strongly about that it changes, I think, the world of HR. Not just we're part of the business, we are helping drive business as a partner with the business team.
I don't know of many companies that actually do it that way, but that is so much more effective and has such greater impact if they look at HR that way than in the traditional way. And that could be one of the big transformations that hopefully will happen in the function of HR over the next few years.
Let me talk about those 4 stages. Support HR, the administrative work, the foundational work. A lot of that's going to be done by AI. We have AI, Gen AI, and we have agents. They're going to be able to do that. The HR practices, agentic AI is going to be more efficient. They're going to help drive that efficiency. That may be a lower headcount. But that's not where the real value of AI is. AI will drive strategic and stakeholder value. It will give us information that we wouldn't have otherwise have. And it cannot happen without the human ingenuity. I've been saying talent in the future of a company is AI times HI. AI, artificial time, human ingenuity. Here's why. AI is brilliant at getting to parity, equal. Company I'm with, I think the stories may help. They have 40 manufacturing plants around the world. They wanted to know, what are the skills of a plant manager? They put in the prompt, they got it back. Here's the 7 skills. And they said, good, we're going to go hire, train, and develop it, pay against it. And I said, stop. How many of your competitors have done the same prompt? Every one of them. AI gets you to parity. Parity doesn't give you a competitive advantage. Advantage comes when you differentiate. Take those 7, make that table stakes. What now will human ingenuity do that takes you further than what AI taught you, that will deliver value to your customers in a unique way? For me, that's where that's where AI needs to go. It's an advantage creator, not a parity creator. And I think most companies that you talk about are getting AI as parity. We'll cut costs, no question. That's fine. But we've got to get the human ingenuity coupled with the AI to make it happen. And what that means is that AI is not an end. I see a lot of people saying, what are all your AI tools? No, that's a means so that something good happens with customers. I could go through more. My basic takeaway is AI times HI. If you do AI, but you don't have human ingenuity, you're going to get to parity. You're not going to get to advantage. If you have HI, human ingenuity, but not AI, you may not even get to parity because AI is going to cut some cost. So I think it's an exciting direction. I think we're still exploring what all this means. I think there's some risk of AI losing that human empathy, all the things Bev talks about, the human touch, the feeling, the empathy. That's an algorithm. Don't fall in love with an algorithm. It's not going to work long term.
I just want to expand upon that is that humans have to leverage their unique skills in more diverse and different ways. The lower administrative tasks are going to be taken by AI because it's cost effective to do so, but that doesn't mean that they're pushing humans out of the mix entirely.
Well, and that's, Bev, what you provided. I mean, you're love them or leave them, love them or lose them, is the emotion, the empathy, the care, all those things you talk about. And Bev, your work on the humanity of organizations becomes so central that we cannot lose sight of that.
For those skills and mindsets that are going to be the most important for employees and leaders, what are they as we move forward in this space where career paths become less traditional? Are there certain skills or mindsets that you think are even more valuable today?
I would say that learning agility. I would say emotional intelligence, big time. Empathy is the old way we would say it. I think systems thinking more than ever. How is this gonna hit that and add to it? Managing ambiguity, yeah, is gonna be more needed, and comfort with uncertainty. So those came to mind in unpacking an experience to see what learning there was. I love the T.S. Eliot line that says, the sad thing is to have the experience and miss the meaning. And I think we rush to the next experience.
Learning agility, no question. All the research shows it. Mental health, emotional well-being, taking time out if you need it. I love to ask people as leaders, what are you doing to take care of yourself? It'd be fun, Charles, to ask you, and I don't know you personally that well, but what are you doing to take care of yourself? For me, it was Seinfeld. I would watch 2 episodes of Seinfeld and I just go, that's so cool. Now, I mean, is it exercise? Is it sports? Is it religion? It doesn't have to be profound. The takeaway I have, and Bev, I'll ask you, in a world of uncertainty that we can't control, what am I certain about? I actually have found that to be a very, very helpful question because it gets back into the core values. When COVID happened, I'd been traveling crazy 150, 200 flights a year, no travel. What am I going to do? And then I started saying, so what am I certain about? And Bev, I'm going to ask you in just 20 seconds. What am I certain about? For me, it was a commitment to learn. I don't care what happens. I know I will learn. And for me, it's a commitment to help others learn. That was helpful for me. That may come from a podcast, Charles, with you. It may come from teaching a class of students at a university. It may come from hanging out with people I don't normally hang out with. I think it's really helpful to say, so what am I certain about? Bev, in this incredibly chaotic world, moving, changing, turbulent, what are you certain about?
That I'll get to the other side, that I have in the past, I will again.
You just gave me goosebumps. That certainty will trump uncertainty. If only we could implant it. My
Right.
wife is a psychologist. She doesn't exercise. Think of a time when things didn't go well, some kind of failure, personal, organizational, and we've all got them. We've all got them. Do not share them. How did you feel at the time? Terrible. I felt bad. I felt incompetent. I felt like I wasn't able to do anything. What did you learn from that has changed your life today? That's the growth mindset. And Bev, if you've learned that I know I can get through anything, by the way, if I'm certain about that, that certainty I can hang on to like a truism that, okay, test me again. Make something else go wrong. My house doesn't sell. I can get through it. Test me again. I say to my kids, test my love. And then I say, no, don't test it that far. But I think once you hang on to that certainty, the rest can kind of take a backseat. And so I'm so agreeing, Charles, with what Bev said. Agile learning, mental health, emotion, well-being, systems thinking we've talked about, and coping with uncertainty through certainty. I just really think those are some skills of the future.
Someone once told me one of the worst things that can happen to someone that's young is to have a string of successes and no failures. Because when they hit that first failure, they're not going to know what to do and it could cripple them. They don't have the resilience to bounce back. And in today's culture, today's society, resilience is so critical because, like you said, Dave, everyone's going to have lots of failures throughout their career. You can look at them as failures that are going to define you or learning opportunities that are stepping stones to that next challenge, that next part of your career. How can the younger generation coming into the workforce, maybe they're in their 20s and 30s, are there any practical ways, Bev and Dave, that they can build more resilience in their careers?
I think it's having buddies, good friends that you can pick up the phone and say, I'm miserable right now. Here's what happened. And there's nothing like not a therapist, not a shrink or whatever you call it, but some good friends who get you, who know you, who will say the right thing.
By the way, I'm grateful, Bev. I consider you one of those. I call them my 2 a.m. friends.
Yeah.
If I called you at 2 a.m. and said, and I'll get emotional because I have some and I have used them, and I call and I say, Bev, I'm really struggling. And you go, hang on, I just woke up. Give me a minute. Dave, it's yours. By the way, I hope having those friends gives me goosebumps because you need them. The other one I'd add is the problem, not the person. Don't personalize the problem. This is a problem. Solve the problem. Run into it. Face it. And again, that mindset, you said it, Charles, brilliantly. Failure is an opportunity. Imagine if you weren't failing. You're not stretching. You're not trying. I had a major failure 3 weeks ago. I gave a talk and I completely missed the audience. I missed the topic and it really bugged me. And so I ran into it. I spent the next 24, 48 hours thinking about it. Where did I go wrong? What did I miss? And I sent a note of apology to the sponsor. Good news, it was a free talk. And I said, you got what you paid for. And I'm not sure yet that sponsor will forgive me totally because I really goofed. But for me, don't hide. Don't run and hide. There's a great story, and it's Jewish, it's Muslim, it's Christian. It's Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. They make a mistake. I mean, it's the Bible story that almost every Abrahamic religion draws on. God comes to visit and he says, Adam, Eve, where are you? For decades, I thought they were hiding behind a rock. And then it hit me. God can see behind a rock. It's not, where are you? Are you behind a tree or a rock? I think the metaphor of that story is, where are you relative to your mistake? You made a mistake. That's fine. Are you going to run and hide? You're going to disappear? Or are you going to face it and say, I made a mistake and I'm going to learn in progress? I think that metaphor is rooted in that ancient story that applies to all Abrahamic religions. All right, where am I relative to the mistakes I've made?
That's a great reframe. I love that. If you could offer a single piece of advice to the next generation of leaders and HR professionals, what would that be? I'll start with you, Bev.
I would say what you think and mean what you say, and say it over and over.
You have some profound insights, Bev, that just come to mind. I just want to congratulate you on that, because that was deep when I put you on the spot there. So well done. Dave?
Mine would be where I end every discussion in coaching. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself physically, emotionally, socially, spiritually. Take care of yourself so that you can then care for others.
Well, thank you both for joining me today. It's been such an enlightened conversation. So thankful to be sharing the stage with you and learning from you. Remind our listeners who want to keep learning from you how they should follow you or where they can connect with you.
I decided 3 or 4 years ago to go on LinkedIn. I find it delightful. I spend 10 to 15 hours a week there. All those comments are not, they're me. They're typos, they're bad sentences, they're misspellings. AI wouldn't make those mistakes. Join me on LinkedIn and learn together.
The old-fashioned girl in me loves hearing from people through email.
I hope this episode has provided you with valuable insights. If it has, I ask you to share it with someone who would also benefit from it. If you've been enjoying and gaining knowledge from this podcast, then subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can find all the previous episodes of the podcast and additional learning resources. You can also subscribe to the podcast on Apple or Spotify and leave up to a 5-star review.